welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by PlayPicks and thelines.com. I'm your host today, flying solo Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, as Josh Lander is out there on the West Coast getting married, as we mentioned in our last player props episode together. But I will continue to bring you solo videos the rest of the week here until I head out there for his big day. Then we'll have a week off and resume for big conference finals and finals action, bringing you that full slate per usual, every game video and player props. You can find all this written content at playpicks.com and thelines.com while we're gone as well. Still writing up a storm there, both NBA and MLB. Please do like and subscribe to the page so you don't miss a beat when we do come back. And if you do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find these listings in your local area. We got some game sixes tonight here with the road team looking to close out both number one seeds, Miami at Philly and Phoenix at Dallas. And right off the top, I'll tell you, I have a lot more confidence in Phoenix than Miami closing out, reading more into the home road splits there. Let's look at the lines real quick. I mean, both are almost the same thing, with Miami actually plus 2.5. So odds makers agreeing with me that Miami, you should have less confidence about them closing out. And Phoenix is -2 at Dallas. Total is 207 in Philly, and that total in Dallas has dropped actually from 212 to 210. Looking at the Philly game first here, now Philly is plus 310 to win both of these games. They just looked completely inept on the road in Miami, so it is a long shot that they win game 7. But I lean slightly towards the Sixers extending this series. The thing I like more, actually, though, is the over at 207, because I think the Heat offense will rebound after just a dreadful game 3. In that first game with Embiid back was kind of a shock. And then a mediocre game 4. They shot 21% from 3 in those two games, 93.5 points per game. That's the only reason to scare you off from an over. But, I mean, we still did go over with them getting 108 in that second game. And the big difference for me is the addition by subtraction if Kyle Lowry sits. He's just not healthy. He was 0 for 8 from 3, 6 points and a -11 in his time on the floor. And the Heat offense is going to be a lot more free-flowing if he's out there. If he's not out there, with Tyler Hero moving the ball, Jimmy doing what he's done, which is exploiting the Sixers all over the floor, getting the switches he wants. He had 15 points on Embiid in game 4. And then Max Strus, who's been extremely underrated, actually has the highest plus-minus in the entire playoffs right now at plus 119. He can catch fire. I think Miami will be more competitive in this game. We're not going to see another blowout as the home road splits continue that way. I think it'll be close down the stretch, and Miami will continue to score, leaning on Jimmy. For me, the Sixers' success is going to hinge on James Harden, not really going out on a huge limb there. I mean, that's why they brought this guy in. That's why they depleted their depth to get a second option alongside Embiid. And he's just far more likely to come through down the stretch at home. In that second half in game 4, he finally delivered that clutch playoff performance we were looking for from an all-time great regular season player who had not really performed in the playoffs. He had 18 points, 4 for 7 from 3, including a bunch of clutch ones in that fourth quarter. For him to get 20 plus in a win is plus 178. And that's where I would go with the money line here. Rather than Philly's just minus 130, if you're taking them straight up, I think they need 20 at least from Harden. His prop is at 20.5 points. Embiid barely getting any odds to go over 25.5 points. So odds makers, again, agreeing that they expect Harden to handle a little bit more of the bulk of the scoring, because Embiid is dealing with both torn ligaments in his thumb and a concussion that's kept him out for a while. Harden shoots 10 percentage points better at home from 3 when he in versus 31% on the road in these playoffs. So definitely something to like there against Miami, which is going to pack it in, right? They're going to deny the drive for Harden. So he kind of adjusted to that in game 4, was able to get going on his step back, which is going to be there if they're going to be that aggressive, denying him going to the paint. And conversely, I think you like Jimmy Butler. I mean, I like Jimmy Butler to get 25 points anyway, which is his prop 26. For him to get one below that at 25 plus in a win is plus 240 for Miami. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that bet here. I do think Miami has a much better chance of winning on the road in this series than the Sixers, given the circumstances. And Butler really just carried his team on the road in games 3 and 4, scoring 40% of their points, 73 points on nearly 60% field goal shooting, as I mentioned, hunting some switches, basically shooting perfect over Danny Green when he was the individual defender. Tobias Harris doing a slightly better job, but that did tip the floor, allowing Miami to get the shots they wanted. I trust Eric Spoelstra to have some good adjustments in place so that they don't struggle so badly on the road anymore. And again, they didn't struggle that badly in game 4. They got 108 versus the 79 in game 3. Miami's been a sneaky team to the over this season, 16-9 to the over as underdogs and 13-7 as road dogs. 10-4 to the over when they're on a back-to-back or no rest, going over by 6 points per game. Yes, they have one day off here, but it's a bit exhausting at this point when you're playing every other day in the playoffs. So just something to look at there. and Philly, they haven't really gone over consistently at home in these playoffs, but they've had these spike games where they've scored a lot, and it's just the other team hasn't come along. So really my game theory here is that Miami's going to be able to come along this time. Not going to get held below 100 necessarily. They're going to be there right down to the end. They're such a tough team. They're going to make it tough for Philly to extend the series, and I'm not really very confident that they're going to. I think it will take a pretty solid performance from Harden down the stretch with Embiid getting collapsed on. There is some numbers suggesting the Sixers do bounce back from just never even getting off the bus or the plane in Miami for that game 5, and they were just utterly waxed on the road. But they are 23-12 after a loss this season. They shot 49% from 3 at home in these 2 games. Now they don't have necessarily the emotional lift of Embiid coming back to spark them, but they do have the lift of getting embarrassed on the road, and I think that they will come to play here on both ends, but they can't necessarily stop Miami if the Heat are moving and using their scheme the way they should. And if Kyle Lowry is not there clogging things up, honestly, if he's not able to slash and kick, which is what they need to do with that ball and player movement around Bam, using Jimmy as a facilitator and a scorer, and getting Tyler Hero going. He didn't really get going at all in those 2 Philly games. So again, slight edge to the Sixers here to extend the series, but I think the over is the play in game 6, just 207, very juicy odds there. And I think you could tease it down with the other game if you want to get a little bit more odds there.